Today we meet with Daz, the owner and operator of Buzzz, with 3 Z's, a whole world-reaching online radio station playing classic hits from the 70s and 80s. We will find out why Daz started the station, and was it hard? And all about the logistics that go into bringing a show to the air.
Why did you got the radio station?
I started my radio station in 2016, so we're 10 years old this year. And the reason that I started my radio station is because I was in commercial radio, and commercial radio is when you are paid to be a radio announcer. And I'd moved from outback Queensland and I'd moved back to the Gold Coast, and I figured that I would probably be able to get on air on one of the commercial stations on the Gold Coast. It's very hard to get on. So I couldn't get on as a radio announcer, so I figured the next best thing for me to do was to start my own radio station. And that's where the Buzzz was born, in 2016 on the Gold Coast.
How did you got the station?
Very, very difficult to start a radio station. Lots and lots of research, lots of questions with people that are in the radio industry of the best platform to use. You've got to set up all what we call the back end, make sure it's all going to work before it goes to air, and making sure the licensing is all okay, working out what you want to play on the radio station, so what makes you a little bit different, because the Buzzz is an online station, so we haven't got a frequency like the FM stations have got. So it's working out what sets you apart a little bit, makes you a little bit different, and then working out the name of the station and what the general feel of the station is. So there's a lot of homework goes into setting it up before you hit the button and go play, and then you sit there and you go, I hope it all works.
Have you been to America before?
I have been to America, and right now I'm not in a hurry to go back to America for obvious reasons, but I have been to America a couple of times now. There are parts of America I would like to go back to, but not quite at the moment.
What is one thing listeners think is free but actually costs a fortune?
Running a radio station is quite expensive, and I think most people believe that it's just a matter of playing songs, and that's kind of like Spotify. When you can play Spotify songs, that doesn't really cost you any money. But a radio station costs money to set up at the beginning, to register your business name, to register the station. Licensing is very expensive every year that you need to pay, and also you need to download music too, so you can't get music for free. So I've got about 3,500 songs that play on the Buzzz, and every one of those songs costs me money to buy. So playing songs is probably the one thing that people think you can do for nothing, but it does cost some money. But to have the best, you've got to pay for the best, right?
If radio disappeared tomorrow, what would replace it?
If radio disappeared, I would first cry. I would be so disappointed because it's such a big part of my life. It's so special to me. But I also know things can change. So the obvious choice would be podcasting, because podcasting will always be around, I believe, and most people in radio are sort of moving into that podcast field. Probably I would have no choice, and then play a lot more golf.
How is the Buzzz involved with Crime Stoppers?
Crime Stoppers have had a long association with not only the Buzzz but also the Cindy and Daz Breakfast Show, and it's been quite a few years now. It's lovely to be involved with such a great organisation. We are really proud to be associated with Crime Stoppers because they do such a wonderful job in the community. So we chat to Crime Stoppers every Friday morning on our radio show and give them an opportunity to be able to tell their story and share what's going on around Melbourne at the moment. So the Buzzz is very community focused, so I wanted to make sure that was going to be a heavy focus of the station, to connect with groups that have got messages to share that help our community stay safe, or have got really strong messages to share. So we love Crime Stoppers Victoria. They're the best.
Why do you play music that some other radio stations don't get a chance to play on air?
Very 70s and 80s focus is the Buzzz, and more charting songs, like songs that charted very well through those 2 decades, those 20 years of music. There are some songs that I play on the station that's scheduled in there to give you something a little different. You know, sometimes someone releases a single, but there's a B-side. On the old days of getting those little records, you probably don't remember.
Yes.
On the other side of those 45s, there was a B-side. So play some of the B-side tracks that maybe you don't get to hear all that often. Most of the commercial stations will play the top 5 songs that are popular now over and over and over again. That's not what the Buzzz does. It's about enabling people to enjoy 20 years worth of music. So you're not going to hear all that sort of stuff on the commercial stations. And that's fine. You tune into the Buzzz, listen on my station.
How do you promote your business and your radio place?
It's a very difficult thing to push a message of any brand these days. So at the very beginning, it was very social media based of pushing it out and promoting the station. I've spent a lot of money in advertising promoting it, but it's also connecting with similar type radio groups as well. I think I'm part of 20 or 30 radio groups on Facebook and share the station out via that. Also business cards and stickers, doing outside promotions. My previous car had sign writing all over it, and that really gained a big following as well. So pushing the brand out wherever you can is really important, and reminding people all the time that you're still about.
So do you put your work online as well?
Yeah, you can go to thebuzz.com.au, and that is 3 Zs.
How do you decide what songs to put on?
So I'm the boss, and I get to put on whatever I want to play. I kind of wanted to keep the format very structured and have a message around playing the songs you can sing along to. Songs that you know, songs that people will listen back and think, oh, I haven't heard that for so long. And sing along badly like I would in the car, but it doesn't matter. It's about playing some songs that we haven't heard for a long time. So that's how I made that decision.
The Buzzz is this year 10 years old, massive achievement.
Thank you.
Do you ever think that you want to expand the Buzzz radio station?
I have thought about this many times, JP. Great question, because I kind of feel like it's a station that a lot more people than just Melbourne, and that's how the station is set up, as a Melbourne's classic hit station, that a lot more people around the country might really enjoy the music. But I also remind myself that even though it's focused on Melbourne, it's a streaming online station and is heard all over the world. Much like your podcast on Spotify, people can hear it anywhere. So maybe one day down the track you might hear a Sydney's classic hits or a Hobart's classic hits. Right now we are Melbourne focused, and that's where it'll stay.
I know AI has become a big thing in our world, and we're going to have to get used to it. So I'm just wondering, do you ever think you will use the AI technology and introduce it to the Buzzz radio station?
AI is certainly in our world right now. It's inevitable. There'll be some form of AI that I'll be able to implement into the station for sure. And at the moment, we're using it for scripting for some of the radio shows that are on the station, which is good support there. But there'll be ways to be able to automate the station better with AI, I think. I think this is coming, and we just got to be prepared for it right now. At one stage, the station played 70s, 80s and 90s, but I grew up listening to 70s and 80s music. So I wanted to play songs on the station that I enjoyed, that other people could enjoy. So the average age of people listening to my station are old like me, but I love those 2 decades worth of music, and that's why 70s and 80s.
Do you play it radio?
I don't pay the radio hosts. The people that do their shows and produce their shows send me their shows for free because they love doing their radio shows. And most of the time when you are producing a radio show, you are desperate for stations to pick up your shows, so you don't expect to have any money. It's like our breakfast show. We don't get paid to do our breakfast show. We do it because we love doing it. So the station has a whole heap of great shows with a heap of great presenters that do it because they love radio, and I love having them on the station. It makes the station what it is.
How many stations and how many people? How many countries?
Of my radio show, I have an 80s radio show called The Retro Show, and I've been doing that a long, long time. And I push that out to radio stations worldwide. And on the last count, I think there's 140 something stations that play my show every week around the world, which is kind of cool. But I wanted to do something, and I don't get paid for that. I do it because I love this to do the show, and I love the fact that there are stations that love playing my show, The Retro Show. Wednesday nights on the Buzzz, 6 o'clock.
What's some of the most obscure songs you've ever played on the Buzzz?
That's a tough question because I don't tend to play too much obscure songs.
Oh, come on, you would have.
No, I tend to stick with the classic hits, and that's what the station. When you develop a brand for something, you need to stick to brand. It's really important to do that. So I guess the only time I would say there's probably a couple of country westerny kind of songs. Kenny Rogers is on there a couple of times. Mountain of Love from Charlie Pride, because I love that song. It's probably the only obscure kind of music I've put on the station. There's probably half a dozen songs that sort of tick off the classic hits and more of a popular song, country westernish.
What would you want to be best remembered for when that day finally comes when we all depart?
I don't know, I kind of just feel like I don't think about it too much, but it'd be nice to think that you are remembered for the right reasons of having a positive impact on other people. I kind of think it's a really important thing to have in your life, to have a really positive impact on people you come across and make a difference in someone else's life, because you make up part of my life journal and I make up part of yours.
What rights do you need to play our radio music?
It's a great question. Licensing is very important. And every type of radio station has a different type of license depending on what type of station you are. So the online stations have a slightly different broadcast license than what an FM or an AM, like a Triple M and Triple J, these sort of stations have a different licensing. So it's a special online radio broadcasting license through AMCOS, and I need to make sure that I pay that every single year that allows me to play music. And the reason you pay a licensing fee is so the artist whose music you are playing theoretically gets paid something from somebody for you to play their music on your radio station. So it's very, very important. Licensing is really critical.
So what's your favourite horror movie?
I think my favourite horror movie of all time would be Nightmare on Elm Street, because it just takes me back to the 80s. I love Freddy Krueger. Nightmare on Elm Street, not the other ones, the number one.
Number one.
Not 2 and 3 and 5.
Nah.
What is something that you pretended to like just because everyone else liked it?
When I was a little bit younger, I used to pretend that I used to enjoy going out all the time, because my friends used to go out all the time and I was still recovering from the previous time and not really looking forward to going out the next time. So I pretended that I enjoyed going out all the time, but didn't really look forward to that.
Now, what's a song that you like but would never be requested on air?
That's another difficult question, because all the songs that I like are generally played on my station. That's a really hard one. So can I rule out some artists? Can I say there's absolutely no way in the world Taylor Swift's getting on my station? I'm ever requesting anything from Taylor Swift? I don't think there's anything that I would need to request that wouldn't get played, unless it's something that's a little bit older, maybe from the 60s or something, but then a lot of music in there was just sort of different as well. It's really kind of cool music. So no, there's nothing that I would request that wouldn't get played, because I love all the good stuff.
What is something that you should keep doing but keep avoiding it?
That's so easy, because I keep saying that I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to walk all the time, and I'm going to eat better, and I'm going to drink less, and that just doesn't happen, because we're well past New Year's Eve resolutions. So I should do more of that. I should be out there exercising and enjoying the morning, but I enjoy the morning from inside my place.
I mean, can I have a stick for you going on?
Correct. Yeah. So I should be doing more of that. But great question, and I need to get better at that, like I think most of us kind of do.
Do you have any upcoming holidays?
I'd love to go on holiday right now. My plan is later in the year to go back to Bali, because I love Bali so much. And that's probably a later in the year kind of thing, July, August. But at the moment, too busy at work, too much to do, can't afford to go on a holiday. But the sooner the better.
If you could invite anyone to dinner, who would it be and why?
Well, I think people who know me know Elvis is coming to my dinner party, and we'll have cheeseburgers and everything bad on bread. That's what we'll do when Elvis comes along. Easy one for me.
Would you make him any dessert or anything?
I wouldn't make anything. I'm ordering in. I don't cook, I don't bake, I don't do anything like that. I'm ordering everything in. So whatever he wants, the king gets.
What are your favourite Disney movies?
Back in the 80s, I really liked Tron, which was a Disney movie. However, if we're thinking more of the movies that you love, has to be Toy Story.
Okay.
I love Toy Story. Is that one of your favourites?
Yes.
I thought it might have been. I love Toy Story. There's another Toy Story coming out, isn't there?
Yes.
A new one coming out.
Yep.
Looking forward to that.
Obviously, you can't be in the studio 24/7. So how do you keep tabs on the station when you're not in the studio?
There's a report that I get via the log on the station that tells me what's going on. It's very difficult to keep an ear on it when you're not there listening to it. When I've got it, when I'm in the studio, when I'm in the car, when I'm at home, I tend to have it on most times to make sure it's live on air. But I get an email through very quickly. If the station goes off for any reason, I get an email alert saying there's been some silence detected. So then I can quickly get to the platform to check what's happened. If I'm away from home or away from the studio and I can't check it, it stays off air until I can check it. When we're away on holidays overseas, I'm able to log in remotely as long as I've got a connection and I can fix things while we're mobile, which is really handy. Thankfully, it's quite stable, and it all operates out of the cloud. So if the power goes off at my house or out of the studio, the station still stays live because it's running off the cloud in their network, which makes it a lot easier. So it's a lot more stable that way.
With outside broadcasts, how do they work firstly? And logistically, how challenging are they?
Can be very challenging to set up an outside broadcast, depending on the location. We have been at some locations which are quite difficult to set up. You might be outdoors on a very hot, windy day and you're out in the dust and the dirt's blowing up all over your equipment. So the setup is generally making sure wherever you are going that you have a good Wi-Fi signal or a good connection or a good data connection so you can get a signal out, and then setting up in a way that people firstly can see you and hear you. That's the whole idea of promoting your station, but also making sure you're promoting a message. So if someone's paying you to be at an outside broadcast, you want to make sure they're getting a return on their investment. So logistically, it can be quite challenging. And there's some locations you go to which are really lovely to be part of. It's nice and cool. You set up a little booth and you get to broadcast for 3 or 4 hours and people get to understand what the station's all about. So it can be tricky, but once you get the logistics set up and you know you've got a good solid signal, it's a lot of fun.
Tell me the story behind the jackets. I love them. Can you tell me how they came about?
Branding is very, very important, like I mentioned a little earlier. So wherever you get an opportunity to promote your brand, whether you have a radio station or this kind of really cool brand behind us, you make sure that it's seen as many times as you can and by as many people as you can. So winter's always somewhere you're putting jackets on. I kind of figure if I'm wearing a jacket, why wouldn't I wear my own jacket and promote what I do? So again, that comes at a cost. So station costs money, and that's also branding, but it also comes at a more greater cost if you're not promoting your station and people don't listen anymore. So I kind of enjoy wearing the gear that I wear. I think I wore the Buzzz when I was over in Bali as well. Not this one, a little bit warm, but a t-shirt that I wore over there. Just, you never know who's going to see it and who starts to listen.
Thank you for coming to Hellow Media, Daz. We had so many questions for you and you answered them all.